How far was San Francisco wasn't far, or
What?
Oakland?
I think
But
it's
we,
probably Oakland.
I took that sucker right downtown on Sunday afternoon, found, found it, remember parking across this big rat boulevard, and you and I walked across the street and went in to see that show.
Cause I wish I remembered that.
But I do too.
Remember that.
And Abby used to always talk about that, you know, about me taking you.
I never did.
Well, I'll take you. And we went, you know, one Sunday and probably got there at 1 or 2 o'clock, saw the movie and went home. But I don't know how, and well, I wasn't that young, but I was, see, that was between I was in college.
Well, you're old enough to drive.
Yeah, oh yeah. That was like, I'm trying to think. Yeah. I'm trying to think of the events. Well, you can figure it out. You were, I guess that's where you lived when you were 4 years old, was Centerville. How old are you now? You born
It's
when,
almost
what year?
51.
You born in 51, so that's 55.
Yeah, that must have been
55
just
or
before we
56.
moved.
Okay.
Well, that would have had to been then.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think when we headed home that Christmas, I guess I don't know where you were in the car. But,
Probably in the
well,
trunk.
really, I don't, but I remember Bill went to sleep in the back seat. I guess you were, and I didn't go back. And I think Abby was pregnant with Barry at that time. You know,
The twins.
and maybe didn't know it, or,
And I don't remember that. I don't remember coming back for Christmas.
but I can remember Bill was tired of driving. I said, well, I'll drive. And he gets in the back seat and goes to sleep. And he did not wake up. I drove all the way. He went to sleep around Amarillo. I drove all the way home and pulled into Georgie and Bill's driveway before he woke up.
Oh my God. Well, he was a sound sleeper.
Oh, yeah. And he was so apologetic for not driving. But we drove right through Oklahoma City. He never woke up. He just,
I'll be darned.
Abby said, well, I'll wake him up and he can drive. I said, no, I'm wide awake. And we got into Georgie and Bill's about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Woke them up. And that's back when we all smoked, you know, Bill and I smoking.
I was a wonder I don't have lung cancer.
Yeah.
See, and I don't, it's funny the things that I can remember, probably like you too, being that young. I can remember, well, we must have lived in that, we didn't live in that cute little house, because that wasn't in Centerville. It was, there was an old house that we lived in. It seems like it, to me, I don't remember it even being painted. But
Y'all lived in a little white house when I was there, I think.
okay, but there was a stucco house that we lived in. That's the last one I remember. But when I was 3, they lived in another house in someplace. But there, I remember the neighbor had a seal. He ran with the circus, and I would tell Mom this story about this. That I remember this guy. Did somebody have a seal? She goes, how do you remember that? And I go, I don't know, but I remember that the neighbor had a seal. She goes, that's right. And he had a big tank in the backyard, and when he was off season, that he had a seal, and you would go over and look at the seal. I go, who would have remembered that? But I remember that house didn't. We went back one year to California. I think Brady went with us. Lorraine drove us, and we went back. That was not, oh shoot. Anyway, I found the house.
Really?
I found the house. kind of had that in my brain. And I remember a lot of things about that, but I don't remember going to the movies with you.
Am I keeping y'all up here?
No. Well, yes, I would be asleep on the couch,
Well,
to be honest.
you all used to, your mother and dad had friends, we were there, and I'll never forget how much, I liked this guy and his family so much, they had some kids.
In
a couple of
California?
kids. Yeah, but they were from Alaska. And they had gone up, and they came back, were visited, and I had the most fun with them, but they came to the house in Centerville, and we played cards with them and all that. But they went to Alaska and settled there. You go there, you just claim the land.
Homesteaders almost.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for, was homesteaders.
Really?
And they were trying to talk Bill and Abby, going Abby, and nothing
Oh,
to do-
my God.
She didn't want nothing to do with Alaska when they talk about it, and this guy just
It
laughed.
wasn't a state then.
Huh?
It wasn't even a state then.
No, I guess it wasn't then, that's why they, maybe not, when did it become a state?
It was the late fifties.
Yeah. But anyway, they were great people, but they knew them before, and then they moved back, and they did not like it back in California. They were gonna go back to Alaska. And before it was too late to get the grub stake back, or whatever. But Denise, I'm out, and I played baseball with this guy, American Legion baseball. Time goes by, and I wind up in California. Now, you tell me the odds on this. And I'm out in the front yard mowing the yard. Bill's, at Joe's house. That was one of my chores. Nothing else. But anyway, I'm out mowing one Saturday morning. And this guy drives by and stops and backs up, and it's the guy that I played American Legion baseball with in Oklahoma. He lived in
Really?
Atwood, we was talking about a while ago. And Aldridge was his name, last name. So he back, hey, Eddie.
He's driving
I said,
down
"What
the
are you
street and
doing?"
sees you?
Driving down the street in Centerville and sees me, and he's with some relatives, and he's looking for a job. What do you do? Well, I work over here at Bisky Plastic Company, where I got a job there in the shipping department. Because I had some college and could type.
See, a college education.
Yeah. So anyhow, and I said, well, come over there, I think they're looking for somebody in the shipping department to, front end loaders and stuff like that. So he came in, I introduced him, got a job there. So he's working, he and I from Oklahoma, same county. Then he comes in one day and he says, well, you and I worked there a month or two. Well, I got drafted, gotta go home. Go to the Army. And I said, well, shucks, I hate to leave you. Good. So he leaves, and he's in the Army. Then I go home, and I get drafted. Or I join the Army,
Oh, yeah.
keep from being drafted. I'm in Fort Polk, Louisiana, on sick call, and I'm going down to the infirmary, and walking along there, and this guy says, get your head up there, soldier.
It was him? Really?
It's him. And I turned around, he recognized me though, that's why he said, get your head up.
Yeah.
And I said, Aldridge?
Oh, you're around.
He said, yeah. I said, where are you going? He said, well, now this is, see, I'd gone from California home, went to school, college, two
So
years
this has
of
been a
that.
while.
He said, I'm going out here to processing out of the Army. What are you doing? I said, I'm processing it.
Yeah.
True story. And so
Wow.
we sit there, visit for a little while. Now then, I go to South Carolina, radio school, back, everywhere. 2 years past, Mineral Wells, Texas. I'm headed home, been discharged. We're going on Highway 56 from Mineral Wells, Texas, up through Fort Worth, then up north to Gainesville, but it's a back road. Now, just down on the highway, not 4 lane, but just no 2 lane. I said, that's Aldridge. Now he's going south, I'm going north to Oklahoma. And I hit the brakes, cause I guess I wasn't going so fast.
Mhm.
And I looked up in my rearview mirror and he hit his brakes.
He saw you.
And we backed up, went
Oh,
out,
be darn.
and saw each other. Again, just like that. And he said, you believe in this?
You couldn't have
crap?"
planned those.
No. And then years go by, and I'm a State Farm agent in Durant, America. And some guy's walking out, he said, is this, I heard talking to my secretary, he said, is this Eddie Mills? Did he used to live in Holdenville, Oklahoma? She said, yeah. He said, well, I gotta see him. He walks back and it's Aldridge. He
Oh,
had
yeah.
seen my sign out towards the lake they told me I had a State Farm sign out there, the one like we were talking
Yeah.
about. He said, I just had to come see.
I'll be darned.
That's the last time I saw him.
Really?
But can you imagine bumping into a guy that many
Wow.
times? And each time it wasn't over,
You could have
5 minutes.
planned. You could have planned to
No.
get together.
but it started in Centerville, California.
I'll be darned.
Fort Polk, Louisiana.
That is unusual.
Have you ever tried
Yeah.
to find out where he is?
No, not really. I think I did too, kinda kept, his wife passed away later. And got, knowing people that knew him and stuff like that. But we weren't the best of friends, but we played ball together.
Wow. It is a small world, really.
Yeah.
It is a small world. Press conference time.
That's a big old boy, quarterback right there, Wolf.
I don't like their turquoise outfits. That's
Wolf
all.
Rider or something like that. You don't like them?
No,
I don't look footballish, do they?
no. The last time I watched them play, that they had all turquoise on. I said, well, that just doesn't look right.
It's got about 6'7".
He's a big guy. And walking boot on right leg. Well, how's that gonna work out?
Well, we'll find out next week when we play Dallas. No, we don't. That Steelers, wasn't it? Yeah,
Yes.
We played Green Bay.
Well, there's no sound to this, you know that. Well, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, I was gonna say we'll have a little snack in the morning and before we head out, and coffee and we'll grab something on the way home, I guess.
So
Did,
we could go by McDonald's and grab a
mhm.
biscuit.
Yep. Did Bobby want you to come for lunch or something? Did she say anything?
She didn't say, she just said, she was harem scared. She didn't know sick them to come here, but she was. She said, well, what time you coming? And I said, well, I'll try to be there around noon. And then she called me back the next day and wanted to know when I was coming. But I don't know that.
Yeah. You know, I was,
I'm surprised that would even be at her house, really. I figured it would be over at Leslie's or something, but maybe not. Oh, you asked about the church situation and we got off on.
oh, yeah.
But she and I had been talking before Jerry died, but she said they belonged to the Presbyterian Church. And she said Jerry just, after he quit teaching in Nova Scotia, moved there, moved to Grove and taught, you know, and they just kinda lost touch with,
Mhm.
and he really didn't care.
Really?
Yeah, and she said, and he just, then they joined this church just because he liked this preacher, liked the way he preached, and,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
yeah, that's it, well, yeah, it's real good. After Carol and I joined the Methodist church herself here several years ago.
Well,
Just because of that, you know.
yeah, because Presbyterians and Methodists can go in the liquor store
Drank in front of each
and
other.
drink in front of.
Yeah.
You know, in a small town though, like here, there's no way you can hide it.
No,
You know, every time I go in the liquor store, of course I'm running into, it's like home week when we go in the liquor store. I'm always running into, you know, we're all talking in the liquor store, it's the place to be. And, one day, well, Marshall Pruitt's wife came in, Brian, one day, Linda Pruitt was in there, and I
Mhm.
said, "Do they let you in here?" And she goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "You belong to the Baptist church." She goes, "Well, you know, we can't hide forever here." So, in a small town, you know, you
That's what the old adage is about. Wherever you find four Baptists, you'll normally find a fifth.
well, that phone call I took when we were in the car, our good friends from Norman, they have a hunting cabin down here by Robert's Cave. So when they come down, they always come through Eufaula, and then come to Enterprise here, take that road out, like through Quentin and whatnot. So I happened to stop in the liquor store one day, this hadn't been that long ago, and of course I know the friends with the lady that owns it, so we're standing there talking, and here comes Bob and Di walking in the liquor store. And I see him and I'm hiding back behind the wine cabinet, you know. And they walk in and I said, "Busted!" And, you know, we just had the biggest hello, just loving and cutting on each other. Everybody in the liquor store is just looking at us, you know, just making a scene. And then somebody else walks in that I know, you know, and it was like 5 of us standing there over the liquor counter, and Colleen is just talking with us. It's just, yeah, if you want to run into anybody, you just come to the liquor store. Better than the McDonald's. But they come through town, and that's where they'll stop. My picture's even on the wall in the liquor store. We have a fundraiser that she sponsors every year, and I'm the MC and the entertainment, so she always has those pictures up there. People will come in and go, "Yeah, I saw your picture in the liquor store." I go, "That's better than the post office."
My dad was so, a good story on him, he, and it's not that I told you, but I went home, I'm 50 years old, you know. And I guess I was an AD at the time, because I'm driving through, yeah, about the time I was an AD. Because I was driving through, I had all of Oklahoma at that time, and so I'm driving from Oklahoma City to McAllister, so I went through Holden and whipped in, and anyway, it's another story, but Dad's sitting there later, and I had stopped to see them. Then he said, and I told him I had to get on to McAllister. He said, "Well, where are you going?" "Well, I gotta get over there." "Well, I guess you boys gonna have to have a few drinks." And then he said, "I don't guess you've ever had a drink, have you, son?"
50.
I said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, I have that." I certainly wouldn't have believed that. And Mother gets up, walks around you've been in her living room. She goes back in the kitchen and disappears for a little bit, and here she comes back. She got this fifth of whiskey in her hand,
Your mom?
and it's got about half full.
Mhm.
And Dad's sitting there, he doesn't see her, see, she's standing on his shoulder, and I'm over here looking at her, and I'm looking at her holding this. She said, "Son, you see this?" Because she doesn't want, nobody picks on Ed.
Mm-hmm.
She said, "Son, you see this?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, this came from your Uncle Clyde's. When he died, your Aunt Normie brought it over here." And Dad looked up. Hey, uh-oh. And she said, "Now, I marked on here where it was when we got it. And it's down to here now. And I haven't had a drink out of it. I don't know who's been in here doing this. But I wasn't. Do you believe that?" I said, "I believe that, Mama." She turned around, went in and put it back up. Dad picked him up, paper he just read. Got his goat, you know. And she never said another word.
Really?
Then she came back in, just, you know, winked at me. And shut him up. He'd been drinking on the slide.
Yeah.
Probably took him a year to get rid of that much.
Yeah.
Medicinal purpose.
Yeah.
He was a heavy drinker, wasn't he?
Of course.
But he's just been nipping it a little bit. Yeah.
Oh. Well, then he could give you, all the tips you needed. If didn't think you'd had anything to drink.
Yeah.
Oh, Lordy be. Well, I'm tired, Ed.
All
What
right.
about you?
I'm ready whenever y'all
Oh,
are.
goodness.
What time is it?
9:30.
No, it is not. Are you kidding me?
That's what the clock says.
Well, I can't go to bed at 9:30.
Time do you think it
I'll
was?
be up at 4.
I thought it was like 11 o'clock. I guess because it's quiet in here. Jeez, no, I'm not going to bed. But I'm going to go wash my face. Because my eyes are itching. So, you met my little buddies here.
Yeah.
Sissy joined us last year. She was running the woods up here, so I got her. And I was gonna foster her and then find a home for her. So we decided if we're gonna give her away, we gotta get her fixed. So Brian's job was to take her to the vet. He takes her to the vet, she's pregnant.
Uh-oh.
So
8
they
puppies.
had puppies, so Brian had to take care of the abortion. So we bring her back home, and I have, working with a little animal rescue place, and they find a home for her. I said, okay, I'll bring her to work, and you can take her to this place.
Well, you forgot about the $500 in vet bills.
More than $500 in vet
Yeah,
bills.
well, that's to heartworms and tick fever.
Time to get through all of it, it don't take long.
Well, they charge you $30, $40 to do her abortion and whatnot. So it was not $500.
Okay.
Seemed like it.
I
So
saw the charge
But
card.
anyway, the little couple came and got her, or the lady took her to the house. A week later, this lady came in my office and she said, "Are you the person that gave us the dog?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Well, we can't keep her." Really? Well, I'll come get her. And oh my God, I was so glad when I got there. She literally ran towards me. It was it was an awful house. It was dirty and nasty. And they'd cooped her up inside all day long. So I go, "Okay, Sissy, come back with us." Well, then I have a friend that's a dog lover like me, and she's got a son and a granddaughter that live in Dallas, and they wanted her. Okay, so they took her for a play weekend here in Eufaula. They just loved her. So they took her Christmas last year, the week before Christmas. And oh, that's when before I gave them to her, I had her checked out for heartworms. She had heartworms and tick fever. So we got her over that. They took her home. And I said, "Now she's not she likes to be inside, but you can't leave her all day long." "No problem. We've got a big place. We can keep her." They had her, 2 weeks, and they called and said we can't keep her. She tore up everything in the house. And I said, "Do you lock her up in the house?" "Well, yeah." So they played with her for 2 weeks on Christmas vacation and then went off and left her in the house. So I took her back and she's been here ever since and she's been the best dog.
Hadn't tore up anything, huh?
No. But we don't keep her in the house. She just comes in the evenings, you know. But
Has a bed, huh?
she's got her little bed right there and she hadn't peed in the house. She didn't do anything. She just lays right there, doesn't she?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she hadn't had a potty trainer or nothing. She just so glad to be in here.
She's just a little precious dog. And then
Wait till you
Gizmo.
get up and let her out, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I have to, the key word to get them out in the morning is, let's eat. Out they go. And this little one I've had now for 10 years, he lived at the trailer trash around the road. Gizmo! Gizmo, what are you doing? And he came to hang out with us on a July 4th weekend and never left.
That was a good thing when he sees it.
Yeah.
I got a friend that's got a, I forget now what kind of dog it is, but it's a, what's the big black dog that hunting ducks with?
Black Labs.
Yeah, it's black. No, it's not a black. It's black when it's a tan one.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's things like a person.
Oh, yeah. Golden Retrievers.
Yeah, but he gets up every morning. He opens the door. The dog goes down there and gets his paper, brings it back up, puts it in the, drops it in the floor in the den, and then goes back and starts waiting on Jerry to come take him to. They go down and eat McDonald's every morning and get a sausage biscuit, and the dog just sits up there in front, and then he's ready to go. You know when he.
Mm-hmm.
After he's
But
got
now,
a
you know, that's just a ritual.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they get used to that.
Oh, yeah.
This little sissy, she's a pretty smart little dog. She's picked up, and her personality's changed altogether because back before we took her in, everybody was shooing her off, shooing her off, and she was kind of timid and skittish. And now she's found somebody to love her. She's just gotten to be the
Oh, she's just a little
sweetest
snuggle
little dog.
And you're just a neighborhood dog.
They know.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of like that dog Melanie had. That, you know, she got it at the pound.
Yep.
And that dog was just like, man, I love you, you know, if it come get me. And they were going to put her down.
Yep. Yep. That yellow dog I had for 18 years, I found him at the vet in Edmond. You know, he was an accident puppy, and I had lost my dog, and I went in there looking for a dog, and I saw that little dog, and I thought, I don't know. So I went and visited him like 3 days before I took him. But oh, that dog went everywhere with me. You know, Brian was down here all the time. Brady was off at school. I couldn't have made it without that dog. He'd ride on the wave runner with me. He'd get up on that wave runner and just sit up there and look like he was driving it. Boats would stop and turn around and come back to see. Because he was as tall as me sitting up there, you
Yeah.
know.
How long you been retired, Brian, when you left telephone truck?
2001,
Yeah, I think.
February 28th.
Well, I retired in 95. I've been 21 years now.
Yeah. Well,
Well, I can,
coming up on February 17, it'll be 16 for me.
Carolyn said I was in good training for it.
Yeah.
well, I can't believe it's been almost a year. Of course, I still tried to
Wasn't
tell
it a great feeling though to get up one morning and say, hey, I don't have to do this.
I know.
I don't have to go anywhere
anywhere.
if I don't want to.
I've adapted very well. Very well.
That's great.
I just,
Well, when it snowed here, what was that, 3 days ago?
yeah.
I guess. She was sitting over there drinking her coffee and she said, I don't have to worry about not trying to drive into work today.
Are we gonna open the office today?
Yeah.
I told
Isn't
her.
that great though? You don't
I
have to
tell
do
you.
that.
I think maybe having a year notice kind of helps prepare that. You know, you
Yeah.
just don't all of a sudden one day decide you're gonna quit or something, you know? But yeah,
Well, ours was kinda gradual, you know, we knew it was coming.
yeah, yeah,
Having us interview for another job with
Yeah.
either AFE or whatever you call them, or go back as an agent or retire.
mhm,
Once I found out they was gonna make the retirement almost
Mhm.
twice as good as it was, I didn't have a hard time making up my
no
mind.
question about that.
And they said, no, we really would rather you stay. And I said, I thought this was voluntary. You know, well, it is. It's what
But-
you wanna do. I said, well, they had to spend 2 hours with every one of us.
Uh-huh.
And I said, I'm tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give you about an hour and a half back.
Yeah.
You know?
You told me that.
I'm out of here.
'Cause I've done decided.
Yeah.
And as much as I've appreciated the career, you made the right decision.
Yeah.
You would've gone nuts in that AFE.
Oh, I
thing.
would've.
That would've
I
driven you
would've.
nuts.
Yeah.
I felt sorry for people who felt like they had to do that, Ed.
Well, some of them just didn't have their cotton sack full enough.
No. And I'm just thankful I didn't have to.
Had to keep picking a while.
You know, Denise never had a big agency, and we've been on them trips with people that have mega agencies. Well, she's got a friend in Yukon that's traveled every year, has 2 girls that's been with her for 25 years, does all the work, does all the selling. And I don't know, it wasn't too long ago we saw them, and they were saying, we just can't afford to retire. And I'm thinking, what in the hell have you done all this time with all that money? God almighty.
Yeah.
Because,
That's funny you should mention Janice and I were talking about that coming in. They just didn't prepare. I guess it's what you're talking
well,
about.
I can't imagine what you'd find, year after year after year after year, spending all that money.
The
Just
worst-
like my buddy next door here, his son is making $400,000 or $500,000 a year. He's got an area, and he reps all these joints and hips and everything. He goes in, shows the doctors how to put them in and
Yeah.
work on them. Now he's putting back, but you know, Jack and I worked for the phone company. Most we ever made was 60 grand a year,
Mhm.
and he's been real frugal, but he's taught Justin, and Justin is putting it back. But Jack and I have mentioned several times, my God, if you made that kind of money for 15, 20 years, retire and
Yeah.
go do what you want to
And
do.
why not?
Yeah,
I mean, you know, and there's certain people in it. I had one agent, you know, he felt like State Farm was going under and all the people that he insured were, you know, wasn't fair to them. And
hmm
I said, that forget you the first week you gone, boy.
yeah.
You know, quit
Well,
that.
that same situation I had, they come up in, what was it, October. They were doing a downsizing and a cash buyout. We're gonna give you cash, no pension or nothing, lump sum, here you go, you're out the door. And they, of course, they had to come up with the figures. And then once they came up with the figures, they gave us 2 weeks to make our mind up. And we had to go in on the computer and status, yes or no. And, but the sticky part about it was, they told all of us, and they wanted us to all go through that, but they said there's a limit. We're not gonna let, if it exceeds this limit, we're not going past this number.
You mean
So,
retirees,
yeah.
number of retired.
So when you submitted it, you had to wait to see if you made the cut. It wasn't, you know, went through all that heartache trying to make a decision, but then when you made it, you still didn't know if you were gonna be able to go.
Well, if you made a decision to go, though,
you either made a decision to go or not to go.
Yeah,
So if you made a decision to go, you had to wait to see.
they went by seniority then. They had, you know, they said, okay, we got 350 managers that we're gonna go down. Let's take it from the top seniority and count down 350, and if you made it up here, you went, and if you didn't get to go. So, Jack, my neighbor, my buddy, he was the very last one they let retire. I've got about a year and a half more service than he did. And we were both all hyped to retire, and we talked about it several times. What the hell's gonna happen if one of us gets to go and the other one don't, you know? Well, we were lucky enough to both go. But you know, it was such a good deal with that and our savings, 401k, which both him and I jumped into that with both feet, the maximum amount forever. We did okay, but
How
they're
long were you with them?
30.
30 years,
Mhm.
that's right. I was with the company 34, I guess, 30.
Started in November of 71, right before Brady was born. He was born in February of 72.
Yeah, that's 32 years.
But it was a good place. But man, I've talked to guy. Well, I wouldn't know anybody there now. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it changes so quickly. But they're kind of like State Farm. The whole attitude of the company and the management changed drastically. You know, when we first hired on, it was a lifetime deal. I figured I'd be there till I was dead, or unless you stole or did something pretty bad, you were there. They were your mama. They took care of you, Ma Bell. And consequently, you know, the attitude of the employees was, we're gonna take care of you. You know, it's a family deal. But
That's like State Farm was.
yeah, well, yeah, same thing with Bell. I guess all the companies have changed. And you know, when I was 20 and I hired on, I went out to work with some of these old farts, old seasoned guys. And after a while, I come in and I say, my God, these old farts have bad attitudes, you know?
Yeah.
They're just sour about everything. And after I got there, I understood why.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
And a lot of it was them, you know, just, you know, you can be happy in a buffalo herd if you mind to, as old Roger Miller said, but
Yeah. Well, when you went to work in Oklahoma City, the regional office, was that in Tulsa then? So you never did know my regional vice president, Bob Warren.
I just heard a lot about him.
He and I are great buddies today.
Good.
He's 91 now.
Yeah, I
wow.
always heard people speak of him.
What was his name?
Bob Warren.
Warren?
Yeah, he was the regional vice president. Norval Trask was his deputy,
Yep.
and some reason or other I got in with them real good. Played a lot of golf with them, and then became just our families became.
A good group to be friends with.
Yeah. But I take him to lunch every once in a while. But he's been in the hospital in and out lately, so he's not gonna make it much
Oh,
longer.
that's too bad. Well,
I often think about, I guess as you get older, you think about the breaks that you had in life, and if you'd have took a left instead of a right, or, you know, things
Yeah.
that would have happened. And Janice and I both have been very fortunate that you tipped off Shirley when she was looking for somebody. It's funny how
Yeah.
things happen, you know, but we owe a lot to you for that little tip. that was,
And I've told people, we never even talked about it before.
Yeah,
We never talked about it
yeah,
before.
I told Shirley, I said, you got one sitting right under your nose down the street here.
And I had never thought that that was anything I could do, you know, I was interviewing
I
for
called you
Credential.
first, didn't I, or did she
No.
call you? She called,
She called me and I went, what?
yeah.
Cause I was out of work.
I guess you were the only one she ever hired, wasn't
Yep, I said, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but scared the bejeebies out of her and she,
you? Well, she wasn't a good manager, I guess, because,
I think Shirley was too nice
yeah.
and,
Well, there's certain things you gotta do as a manager, and it's not follow the book. And she wanted to follow the book.
well, you know, there weren't, I think the only other
You
woman.
gotta make, sometimes you gotta fly by yourself.
yeah.
Yeah. I think Becky was a manager, Becky Minson at that time. And,
I think you're right. And there's another,
what was her name, Julie, no, oh,
I
shoot.
know who you're talking about there.
Westgate, Karen Westgate, I think.
Yeah, I know Karen.
Um,
There was another one up there later.
But I know that was still pretty new for women to be that, I'm sure she felt like, you know,
Guinea pig.
a guinea pig, you know, or, and then, you know, you go to those meetings and,
Well, I thought Shirley did really, really well in that. I really did. I pushed for her to get that job.
and I think, maybe she might have enjoyed it a little better, if she just maybe held out a little bit longer. But I don't, you know, the new regime was coming in, I don't think she could have
Yeah.
hung on with that, but, I mean, I kinda think she did okay with me.
I think she'd be a good teacher.
She was a very good teacher, very thorough and patient and,
Well, that's her background.
mhm. And she probably looked over my shoulder a lot more than some of the others might have done,
Yeah.
which I needed, I didn't have a rat's clue what I was doing. And, but I know in the meetings, I was the only woman in our group for a long time. And a lot of the guys weren't very nice to her.
Yeah.
You know, they were not respectful to her or, didn't pay attention. You know, it's kinda like kids at school.
Oh, in her district, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she got stuck with, you know, she had Frank Green, who'd been he'd been a manager. Coach Waits.
Oh, Lord.
Lord, I think he's still up there, I don't know.
Coach,
And a guy she had to fire in our group.
Hmm.
So she had some pretty tough things to deal with.
Including old John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John and all his goings on.
he was a character, wasn't
Oh, God.
he? He was something.
And, but we all loved her very much.
Well, Shirley was my first female agent to hire. I'd hired Ed Long and Don Carpenter to take my place, and then Ed Long went into management, and I hired Shirley. Had seen her around town, and she was dabbling in real estate too. I guess she was full-time real estate then.
Well, her
Doing
son's
well.
still an agent, he doesn't do much. I don't
Doesn't
think.
do anything.
Uh-uh.
He's not worth two dead flies when it comes to,
Yeah.
and you would've thought that he would've been good. You know, at one time I thought,
I guess they went through some family issues and stuff. You know Herb Weaver?
man, that sounds good.
Herb, 66, Herb's probably 70. He's in, Pryor. But anyway, he got his daughter off State Farm, about 10 years ago, I guess. And she hasn't done anything but go to school to get her law degree.
But she's in State Farm
She's
agent.
still got her agency. She has her law degree and she does, animal advocacy and stuff like that, and she's friends with me on Facebook. I
Did
never.
she take his agency over?
No, he's still an agent.
Yeah.
Literally nothing.
Hmm.
She's never there. Doesn't go to a meeting.
And he's probably helping her then, somewhere other covering for her.
Well, I would think, I'd almost think he'd be embarrassed.
Yeah.
You know, he kind of pushed for her to get in, and she gets the agency. And she's been going to law school for 4 years. I mean, that's her right, but you know, why don't you just let your agency? Of course, she's getting a paycheck, so, you know, just, there are a lot of people that would love to have that, you know.
I guess I know him. Of course, that's the other end of the state.
Yeah. I drive through Oklahoma City and see all the State Farm signs, and going, who's that? Who's that? You know, don't know any of them. Don't know any of them. What are you staring at? What? No, we're not getting up here. He'll go to sleep standing up.
Really?
Mhm.
Yeah. So we made friends already for over a New Year's.
Yeah, he's my little dandy. He's been, first year, I guess we went off
What
to
is
Red
he?
Deer.
What is he?
Gizmo,
Huh?
Gizmo. Did you ask his name?
No, what is he?
Rat Terrier.
Rat terrier?
Stop it. He got attacked by a neighbor's dog. Got his back end hole filleted open the time we got home. My neighbors had taken him to the vet for emergency, and I had to take him back, and then he got his back end run over. He got a broken leg because he was chasing tires, and you just keep going back for more, don't you? And you never know it. He just lickety-split down the driveway, just like nothing ever happened.
After a car?
Yeah. He's not as fast as he used to be, but I mean, that whole, when we came home, this whole back flank here was laid open like a chicken breast. Somebody filleted chicken, just laying open. And the neighbors had found him, and they took him to the vet up here, who kind of just doctored it up, but didn't stitch it. Oh my gosh. So I took him to my vet, and they stitched it up. You can't even tell it's there. I mean, it was open like that.
Yeah.
Never bothered him a bit, didn't get to the muscle, I guess. And then got his back leg broken. And he'll outrun that dog nearly. Just,
He'll try.
he'll try. He'll try. He just,
Carrie had one, little dog like this, I forget what it was now,
I've
but
never
he
had
died on them.
I've never had a small dog before. So he rules the roost, and everybody in the neighborhood knows him. So if we're gone, he just makes the rounds. And he goes and stays with Jack and Linda, and they let him in the house, and Jack will let him sleep with him, and we don't let him up in our bed, or, you know. So by the time I get him back, he's spoiled.
Think he can sleep anywhere, right?
But he never even tries to get up in our bed. When Brady comes to visit, Brady puts him up in the bed. Golly. So, he's pretty spoiled. Pretty spoiled. I bought some little miniature ice cream cone cups. Do you want some ice cream?
If you do.
Well, I have ice cream, but
I noticed you did.
we buy the little ones, and then we don't eat a big bowl.
Oh, so I can't have two?
You may have all you want.
No, it sounds good, huh?
Do you
There-
want chocolate syrup on it?
No, I'll just drink it, I'll eat it,
You just drink it.
drink it, I mean, eat it.
Where'd you
by
put it?
itself. They got Brahms down in Texas, don't they?
Yeah, boy, as a matter of fact, I got a gift. I always buy peanuts for everybody.
Yeah.
And, they're in Durant, and then take them around with golfing buddies or whatever. Well, in return, the guy bought me I'm always betting the guy's ice cream cones from Brahms that I can beat them.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I lose, but I don't care.
Yeah.
Still going to Brahms and get ice cream.
Gives you an excuse to go get
I
ice
went
cream.
down there, but anyway, he knows about this, so he bought me a gift card at Brahms
Mm-hmm.
for Christmas.
So you
So
can,
I bought him peanuts.
yeah.
We have a good time, man. You can tell we gamble pretty heavy.
Yeah, sounds like pretty big heavy stuff.
I sure like their milk. Their milk is, we drink 1%. Even their skim milk's pretty good.
Yeah, we drank 2%. I bought milk down there. It's good, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, to me, it's
We're
just,
drinking low-fat milk.
Well, the other day I was driving in and trying to watch what I eat, and I get not doing any good at it. But anyhow, I said, you know, I just want an ice cream cone. I hadn't had any in a long time, and I just pulled it, bought me a
mm-hmm,
big deal.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I'm not here, Brian gets to eat whatever he wants.
Well, I haven't been eating much ice cream. I love it. I could eat a big bowl of ice cream every night if I could stand the weight.
Well, that's why we can't have any ice cream.
We had a manager, I can't think of his name right now, it'll come to me in a minute. But anyway, lived in Wichita Falls, and, so, he'd always drive to Dallas and get him, what am I trying to say, the big gallon, half gallon, or?
Well, it used to
What
be
ice cream though is so popular?
yogurt.
No, it's ice cream,
Oh, Ben and Jerry's or
yeah.
one of them.
But anyway, it's still not it. But anyway, it doesn't
Dairy
make
Queen.
it. Huh?
Dairy Queen.
Nah.
No, never mind.
But anyway, he comes to Dallas and he buys it.
Bluebell.
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 Buys the Bluebell. He buys it, you know, a gallon at a time, but he buys about 10 gallons
Oh my gosh.
and takes it back, hurries back home, puts it in his freezer.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's got weight problems and heart problems, and he's now seeing his doctor. His doctor says, "You've got to quit eating so much ice cream." Oh, thank you.
And he's got 10 gallons of ice cream in the freezer.
Yeah, he said, "Well, I'll quit, but I'd like to finish up the ice cream that I got in my freezer." And he said, "How much you got?" He said, 6 gallons.
My mom used to buy, I don't even know where she bought it. Come in a big old brown paper round jug, but she'd buy 2.5 gallons, and she loved black walnut. And we always had a big old deal of black walnut in the freezer.
So it was in a, oh, it used to come in those brown tubs.
Mm,
Yeah.
didn't have any kind of label or nothing on it. It was just, well, it's like you'd see at an ice cream store down in the freezer.
I had talking about that made me thinking, we lived in Wichita, Kansas during World War II. And I have a lot of memories from that as a kid, you know. And, so, but I've never been able to talk to anybody that knows about Wichita, except people that moved in up 3 or 4 houses from us, and they lived in Wichita for a while, but not enough too late to identify with some of the things I wanted to talk about. Well, He called me the other day, said, you need to come up here. You got some friends here from Wichita, live there all their life.
Ah,
So I made it up there, and it was so much fun getting to ask them about that. Oh, yeah, that was such and such. And she and I went to the same grade school
Really?
together, yeah. I mean, not together.
all of the Mills family must have been in Wichita at
Oh,
some point.
Lord. I can tell you about that.
His mom was there.
She was next door to us,
Mhm.
living with Grandma and Grandpa
Mhm.
at that time. All of them working.
Mhm. Yeah, she'd go with us to Kansas City, and we, when we lived in Edmond, we'd go through Wichita, you know, and she'd come in every time.
All the houses were pretty close together, and they's all shotgun houses.
Yeah. They were company houses, weren't they?
No government.
Yeah.
They rented from the government so they could work in the defense plants.
Mhm.
And then, but they were duplexes, except the duplexes this way. And they're that, the front of our house was by itself, and then the other end of the house was the other house.
Oh,
They went in one end, and we didn't have a back door. but
Yeah.
So
That
it was
was
back to
their,
back,
yeah.
back door to back door. Well, that's weird.
But then Grandpa Mills lived beside us. And I used to think it's a pretty good distance. It was further than most houses were apart. But one of them, seemed like Grandpa had to get up early or something, but he and Dad rigged up a line from our house to his house.
so I could hold on
Whoever
to
woke
it.
up first would pull the string
Oh,
and pull the light and put a light on in their house in his bedroom, Grandpa's bedroom.
Well, you just made a comment, I never heard that Grandpa Mills was in Wichita.
Mm-hmm.
How do I not
Sure.
know this? How did my mom not tell me that?
Got him in, well,
Cause she just talked about her going and, you all being there.
Grandpa was farming, then World War II started, and everybody moved to Wichita. Tom,
Yeah,
Uncle Mark, Dad,
I knew all that.
and so Grandpa, I guess at that time he's about ready to quit farming,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think he sold out and moved to Wichita and got a job as a janitor at Swallow, Swallow Company. They made airplane parts.
oh yeah.
Little company. He was so proud of that job. He was the best janitor they ever had.
Probably was too.
Well, he thought he was.
Yeah.
But what, I don't know if he knew how to sweep or not, you know. There you go, man.
Calvin gave me instructions. He's giving me actually the key to his garage now to feed the dogs.
The key.
The key.
Ah,
I now have the key.
well, he must trust you.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a couple, 3 or 4 houses down. She just retired. She was living in Oklahoma City, so they sold out. She's down here now full time, but he loves to travel. Then
He loves to cruise.
they took off for what? 2 months, 45
No, I
days,
thought they were gone. They were gone for 29 days.
29 days, and they left. They got a doggy door in their garage, so we asked them. They were down here before they left. We said, "Was anybody taking care of your dogs or your dog?" He's got a couple of cats. No. So Denise, we walk in the mornings, and she stuck her head in the doggy door, and the dog wouldn't come. She could see him in
I
there.
couldn't get in
So-
the place, and I couldn't remember how I was supposed to get in the house. So I was trying to figure out if I could get through the doggy door.
So finally, he got on his cruise. He got somewhere where he could get reception. She had texted him, and he gave us the combo to raise his doors up. And so, but they just put what, 3
Oh
or
my
4
gosh,
big
there
old
was-
bowls of water and 3 or 4 big
things of dog food, just set it out there. Well, when we go, Jack and Linda, if they're home, they take care of my dogs. If they're not home, George takes care of my dogs. And we all just kind of look at it each
Down
other's
leaving,
dogs. Yeah. So I don't have to board them or anything, and they're happy, and that works out fine. Well, Calvin and his wife don't. There's a whole issue, but we finally got them to start coming down and hanging out with us, and they were telling us they were going on this trip, and I said, well, who's looking out after your dogs? Oh, nobody. I said, what? No, we're leaving enough food and water for them. I said, for a month? And it was warm.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, you can't do that. I'll go look after. Oh, no, we wouldn't want to bother you. And I said, are you kidding me? I have to have a job, you know? So now they're letting me look after their puppy dog. And he's an old dog. And I thought, you just don't go off and leave a dog for 30 days with nobody.
That's what he eat, what he wants to eat when he wants to eat it, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I guess you can do that. Something else didn't get in there and eat it.
But they needed more water, you know, and of course Bryce says, well, there's a lake down there. I guess they can go to the lake. But
Yeah,
old Rowdy, he'd fall in. He's so old. But that's a good part about a neighborhood like this, you know. We
yeah.
don't have to keep the dogs pinned up, and neighbors look out after them, and they're happy. Jack and Linda let them in their house. I look after their little scrawny dogs when they want me to, but they're not as much fun as mine.
No.
Yeah.
Are you gonna wake up? Are you gonna wake up? Look at us. What?
Usually
We
it's
live
she's
in
in
a
the
good
little.
neighborhood like that, we don't have any dogs to worry about, but
Mhm.
as far as leaving, you know, we just tell the neighbor we're gone and
Somebody's
don't
got
worry
an
about
eye on it.
anything.
Yeah.
Of course, being in that community, you know, gated community, it's not secure, but
But well, we just
the
put up
appearance
these.
is that it is.
We just put up these gates last year.
Well, it'll be 2. This summer will be 2.
Yeah, just some of these haven't been up that long.
That's amazing how much difference it makes. We don't have
We don't have
anybody
drive-through
driving
traffic.
through here. It's not supposed to be,
Yeah.
you know. It was a hell of a job.
Did you have to get approval from anybody, or just, you got a little HOA here?
Yeah, we got an HOA and we've talked about it before.
You have to keep the road now, though?
Yeah, the road was private anyway. We never dedicated it to the county,
Okay,
for that reason.
so it's y'all's to keep up.
Yeah. Yeah, I collect the dues. In fact, dues will be coming in this month, and we do I'll be calling for a grader to come out and grade the road, and probably put a little bit of gravel on one of the corners over there, and every 2-3 years, you know, we have to do that. But we finally got our dues up to the point to where it's not a struggle,
Yeah,
you know. But I was surprised how easy it was to get money out of everybody for the gates, and I was kind of neutral. I didn't care if we had them or not. You know, being down here on this end, we don't get a lot of traffic like the people down there by the gates. We got 2 gates. You know, the road's in the shape of an A, so there's an east and a west gate. And we had a kid that he's trying to sell his house now, but he had some equipment and a hell of a welder. And I guess we had to get all of our holes punched and get our uprights in, concreted. And then 2 of us was a cutting, 2 of us was a holding, and he was doing the welding. There was usually about 6 or 8 of us involved, but and then had to clean them and prime them and paint them, and I put the lights up. I had some lights I'd bought. I thought I was going to use here.
So they built all the guys in the neighborhood made those gates.
Yeah, we had 2 gates up there at one time. Back when we first got the addition, or started the addition, we found some cheap,
Just manual gates.
gates, and we decided we had to pull all that stupid structure up. It just wasn't gonna work. We had to yank them all out and start all brand new with the new wings coming in and the gates. But them gates are heavy. They're 18 foot wide.
Yeah, they look
And,
heavy.
We had to set them with a backhoe. I mean, they were heavy. And then we had to add some more bracing because it was pulling, when we swung it open, it didn't have anything, it was sagging on us. So we had to go out and place another piece and put a big old huge turnbuckle so we could adjust it and pull it up and get it square. But it's quite an experience. And then getting the openers put in, that was another big deal. And then last spring, I guess it was spring, we had several lightning storms here. I mean, it sounded like it hit like that tree right out there. It was pow! And one of the motherboards went out on the east gate, so I had to.
You can pick up on who's been responsible for taking care of the gate. Can't
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty much it. I'm trying to step away from the Secretary Treasurer, but I've been trying now for 2 years. We have our meetings in July. And I told them, I said, I'm gonna be traveling, and I was on a couple of other boards, the fire board up here, and then a couple of other ones, and I told them a couple of years ago, I said, I'm gonna make my exit. You guys find somebody else, 'cause I'm not gonna be around.
So when somebody's opener doesn't work,
They call him.
here it goes. Brian, would you fix these?
Well, we had about 40 or 50 openers. Well, when we put the gates in, it was really, you have to program them at the gate. There's a button you push on the motherboard, and then you push the opener, and they link. So it was, we had them all in a bag. We did them all at the same time, and when we dispersed them, well, when the motherboard went out on that one, it had all the codes in there on that east gate, so those were all gone. So then trying to round up everybody's remotes that are here sometimes and not, and some of them got the email. Charlotte down here, one of the partners I was telling you about has
Parkinson's.
Parkinson's. Both of our openers won't work on the east gate. And I said, well, I sent you an email about 3 months ago, Charlotte, to tell you that. You'd have to, well, I guess I didn't get that. So I had to show 3 or 4 other guys. I said, I'm not going to be the one that has to do all this. I'm going to share the load. So I'm going to show you guys how to do it. It's easy. It's not complicated. It's just you got to make a trip down there to the
But
opener.
it's like, oh my gosh, if Brian and Janice are gone, who's gonna fix stuff?
Yeah.
There's 4 of us that live here full time out of all the houses.
But they worked flawlessly. But we bought the best you could get. The openers were, well, they were about $4,000 a piece, and we had to have one for each gate. They're the kinds like you see, and well, like you guys probably have, where they're open and shut probably 300-400 times a day. Just,
Oh, yeah,
you know,
ours are, yeah.
big old heavy motor and gearbox. It's really well built, but
Well, they got ours changed now to,
Well, first of all, you can buy
a deal like you put, like going on a highway toll road.
yeah, but
Okay. Well, they came in with a deal where tied in with that.
yeah.
Wow.
And now this was after before I had I just hit my little button, you know,
Yeah.
on my car. They got, or I transposed it into my car.
Yeah.
But then they came back with this other deal where a big bar comes down. We got a guard out there though. But a big bar comes down, 2 big bars. And this side is for the citizens that live there, residents. And this one's for the visitors. Well, he's got to pull in there and get his permission to go in from the guard. And when we drive in now, this bar is sitting up there, and because it's programmed into my little sticker that I got up to get on the toll road, it's coordinated with that somewhere or other.
Wow.
And when I drive up to that bar, it just raises up.
Wow.
Now then I drive about 30 yards, and then the other big gate so it's 2 gates.
Wow.
Now, the big gate like yours down here opens up to, you know, to
So we got two then.
so the
together.
bar, we get through one and then the other one, see, so they think that's a little bit more secure.
Have you had any problems in the community?
The only time we've ever had any theft or anything, Turner came to find out it was, one of the guy's grandsons that was, you know, grown
Really?
grandson that drank too much or something, was busted in trying to find drugs in people's houses.
Really?
Just had, until they found out about it, found out who it was and figured out. And then they got rid of him, so. But we haven't had any.
Well, when you got that kind of security, it almost has to be an inside job,
Yeah,
you know, especially if it's repetitive, if
Yeah.
it happens time and time again.
now, we got a back gate, you know, that you just drive up now and it opens up if you're a resident. But before they got that, they had these old boys, and we didn't even have a clubhouse then, just a golf course. And these guys came up, rented them a golf cart to play golf in, drove that sucker right around to the back. Of course, it's like you're playing golf. Went out to that back gate, evidently just went right to it, loaded that cart up, and gone. And they had never seen hide nor hair of that yet.
Really?
Of course, the cart's worth about $5,000, even $5,000 or $6,000. But it's brand new carts. I mean, they just bought them. And they get to counting their carts, and they got 29 carts instead of 30. You know, well, where's the other carts? I don't know. Maybe it's on the golf course stuck or something.
Oh my
Finally
God.
figured out that's the only thing they could have done. You know.
Just
Yeah.
drove it out of there.
So now they got a deal where, you know, they can't get out of that gate unless they got a
Some kind of,
in
yeah.
their car.
Well, does that gate, do you have another sticker on your window, or is it
No,
lined up?
same sticker. It's coordinated in there with it.
With your
Really?
podcast.
Yeah.
That's kind of neat.
I'll show you the one I got.
Yeah.
It's just it used to be a big old thick one, you know, you stuck up there. Now it's just a piece of,
Yeah, real thin. That's what
Yeah.
our they call them pike pass up here.
Yeah,
And it's
right.
real thin and,
Wow.
mine's even good up here now.
yeah, I
you
think
can- yeah.
Oklahoma, Texas and Kansas is
Is it?
even coordinated.
Yeah, I got a letter from Oklahoma. I thought ours worked up here before they did, you know. I guess I was reading where they're going to and they hadn't done it. And I got a real nice letter from Oklahoma. It did. It said, "We really appreciate you visiting our state, blah, blah, blah. However, you
You
need
owe
to
us
stop and
some-
pay the toll."
Oh.
Yeah,
Well, when we go to,
Didn't charge me anything, just tell me.
warning.
when we come into Dallas, you know, there's a toll road there. And I never know where you get on it. I mean, we're just going and going, how do we get on a toll road?
Yeah. Well,
And I don't know where to get off of it.
I don't know where you just get up, it doesn't charge you anything. You just,
We never
there's no
go.
gate there now.
No.
You know, usually there's a toll gate,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and, but now they've taken all those out, and you just drive through, and they're supposed to take a picture of your,
Tag.
Okay.
tag and send you a bill.
Well, I never got a
And
bill.
well, and then some of them, we don't even wanna send it.
Yeah.
But they've got yours registered, and after a while, if you've been doing it, you're gonna start getting,
Okay, so if I've only gone one time, they're not gonna go after me.
so they're not interested in taxing the guy from out of state to run through the toll.
They're probably gonna
Because
stop
you
by
never
gas.
know, you don't know when you're going through. If,
Yeah.
next time you go, you will see it up here. It just hangs out over the highway real high.
Yeah.
And then when you get off, it'll take your, charge me 40 cents. And I pay $40, and then when I run out,
That's what we do in Oklahoma.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
same deal.
But yeah, last time we went through and I go, I didn't see where we would pay.
Where
But that's
was
pretty
that?
good
We got
philosophy,
a,
Because if you're out of state, you're gonna buy gas, you're gonna buy food. You know, they're getting their tax dollar out of you probably.
Where was it we got a bill from? We got confused and made an exit and had to get back on. Was that Colorado?
I don't remember. I think
Remember
so.
they sent us a bill, based on they take a picture of your tag.
Yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
actually, it was a trailer tag,
The trailer tag.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were coming from
and
Colorado.
I had to pay $10 or something,
Yeah. Oh well. So good. Talking about those turnpikes. When I opened my office in Oklahoma City, they just opened that Kilpatrick Turnpike the same week. And I told Brian, I said, I could eat lunch up there in the middle of the highway. There's nobody using that thing. Of course, now, it's packed all the time.
Yeah. Talk about those $40 deals, it's just automatically charged that's one of my State Farm deals.
Mm-hmm, your card, yeah.
So and I just do check to see who it is and or medical stuff or who, I see the toll tag charge $40 and I usually get one every 3 or 4 months,
Yeah.
because I don't get on it that often. Well, hell, all at once there was toll tag, 4 of them,
Oh,
$160 worth. And I'm thinking,
Hmm.
hey, wait a minute. So I picked up the phone and called. I said, I've got a problem here. I don't know which one this charged to, or somebody's stole something. The lady's real nice. She said, well, let's see now. I said, I don't know if I'm up to date or changed the cars and so forth. No, you got a Honda and a Lexus. That's right. That's the only ones I got now. I used to pay the kids,
Mm.
everybody, and it was $80.
Oh my gosh.
But, well, then that was years ago.
Oh, okay.
Now, they got well enough off. They
They can do their own.
said, Daddy, we'll do our own now. I said, well, good, that's a good idea. But she said, no, that's on your Lexus. I said, wait. Oh. Then it dawned on me. Weston had before he went off,
Mm-hmm.
he had a job, and that's when he'd given the car. And he's driving the old clunker and gave the other one to
his girlfriend,
Jessica,
his
no, his
ex-wife.
ex-wife. And I said, Carolyn's not driving, just take this Lexus.
Ah.
So he wasn't even thinking, hell, he just drove down to his work. He said, well, this goes toll road every day now, But it was kind of a temporary job.
Mhm.
But, hell.
So he was hitting it twice a day.
Well, it's like $10 a day, he was hitting that sucker, time you get there, 'cause 40 cents here, 40 cents, 50, $1.20,
Oh
whatever.
my gosh.
See, and, but people who go all the way downtown from way out, see, they're
Mm.
charged
Wow.
quite a bit of
Wow.
money at the end of the month, and it's a significant amount, so.
That's how they build all those freeways.
Well, even if it's $10 at the end of the month, well,
Yeah.
that's 30 days, well, not 30, but
Mm-hmm.
a couple $100 till
Yep.
you get over it.
I
So
know.
anyhow, I said, oh, okay,
Never mind.
never mind. By that time, he'd gone anyway,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't ever said anything to him about it, but he wasn't even thinking about it.
Yeah.
Just drive down there. Or
Well-
either that or Pawpaw don't care.
Yeah. I'm talking about those security gates. I didn't think much about them because I've never been afraid out here. But last time you went down to the Deer Woods, I did have a little bit better sense of security, just knowing, because they'll be gone and I'll be the only one in the neighborhood. So I feel
Well, I
a bit
think
better
it's a
about it.
good idea, because, this day and time, you got people that roam around looking around and
Oh,
thinking,
that's
well, I come back here. And
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, we'd have, you characterize people by their looks and cars, and we'd have old clunkers come through here and driving slow,
Yeah.
and first thing,
Surveying.
yeah, first thing you think is they're looking for something, to come back and get, but, not anymore. It has really changed. I was surprised. It's really quieting things down. Now we got in the summertime during the holidays, we got parents that come down here and turn their kids loose on the golf cart and they use it for a racetrack. So,
Yeah.
but we've always had that. But at least now we know it's people in our own neighborhood, so we know who to go talk to. But they get out on the back porch and fix them a drink and enjoy the lake, and they don't even. Their kids, we've had them.
Running the mailboxes,
Oh yeah, it's.
agonizing the dogs.
And I don't blame the kids. Heck, if I had a golf cart to drive when I was that age, I'd have been spinning the tires too.
Yeah.
But
It wasn't me, Grandpa. I wasn't doing that.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't doing that. Oh, small town life.
one of the guys, he's moved out since, but his daughter come down here and brought her boyfriend. And he let him drive the golf cart, and they give him strict instructions. He said, now, nowhere but the road. I don't want you driving back, because you can drive around here and get back over in the next edition. I was outside there doing something, and here they come walking up, wanting to see if they could borrow a shovel. They'd gotten down there in some of the soft stuff and got stuck. Well, you know how it is, some of that stuff you can drive over it once,
Oh, yeah.
maybe twice, but then the third time you're down. And
It was on that boggy part.
I got my four-wheeler down there and I couldn't pull them out. I got my little 4x4 truck, and I was down there working, and here he come walking down the hill. Boy, he was hot as that boy, you know, because he told him explicitly, don't drive anywhere but the road. I don't think he came back down. I think that was the last time.
He wasn't invited back, huh?
Uh-uh.
Oh, we had these people at the log house over here. They tried to cover it as a business use, but we think they're doing an Airbnb out of it. And they've had all kinds of people down there, and you know, it's a beautiful house.
Well, three guys went together. The guy that built it spent $1.1 million on it,
Ooh.
and it wasn't even finished. The basement wasn't even finished out. He was a career Navy dentist. His girlfriend built it. He was on a ship floating around over in Iraq, I guess. And he retired, and I don't know what happened to him. He just went crazy, kind of.
Really?
Couldn't adapt to outside life.
Huh.
And they had just about finished it. They spent a couple of weeks down here one time. He married the girl, and then he started having problems, and they divorced, and he put the house on the market. Started at $1.3 million, $1.1 million, $999, $799, $599. And finally, these guys picked it up. One of them lives in Edmond. Well, two of them live in Edmond. One of them lives up in Missouri. But they formed a LLC and bought it for $470, I think. The guy took over a $500,000 hit on it.
Oh, yeah.
And then they finished it out. But they came to one of our homeowners meetings, and they were wanting to lease it out 11 weeks out of the year. And I know why they were trying to do it, so they could write it off, you know, as business expense. And so I was kind of neutral on that too. I didn't know, but we finally decided, no, we don't want to set a precedence and have that kind of stuff happening in here. So they accepted it and went on, but they've had some crowds down here where we suspected maybe they were renting it, you know. And a few got a little rowdy. But
Sound like it.
by and large, they've done pretty good. One guy owns a moving company up in Edmond, I guess does pretty well. Other guy's a pilot. One of 10 qualified to fly the 787, I guess, that humongous plane Boeing has. He's on call, they rotate. And he called me one time from Singapore. I said, I don't think I've ever got a call from Singapore. But it's a nice house. It's a beautiful house. I wouldn't have it. It's kind of like swimming pool and hot tubs. I love other people's, but I don't want one.
I don't want it, I've had a swimming pool. I ain't never having another.
Yeah,
Now, if you want something just money grabber, eater, that's it.
yeah,
And if you use it, fine. But when we first moved to the one, were you ever in our other house in Addison when we lived closer into
I
Dallas?
think so.
I
Yeah,
think you were too.
Mhm.
We had a pool,
yeah,
okay. But that was fine, we had the grandkids, and that was, we was under the impression the kids loved us, but they was loving that swimming pool.
well,
You know, and that's.
sometimes you have to bait them to get them to come over.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
but it was lots of fun, because they're gonna be there in the summertime, you know, and go swimming.
Yeah,
And, but once they got up to where, you know, 16, 17 years old, bye-bye,
Yeah.
you know. And so, there'd be times we'd go all summer, Carolyn, you been in the pool? No. Me? No. I might go play golf sometime, then walk in there and wash
Cool
off,
down.
get the crust off, you know.
yeah, yeah.
And kick around a little bit.
Oh, I think that's like a lot of things when they're new. You know, you enjoy them and use them, and then you get on to something else.
Well, it was getting bad about the time we sold it. I drained it and had some leaks, and I went in down there and kinda took some cement and covered some cracks and painted it, you know, and got it to hold water again. But I knew good and well we were gonna head for trouble later, 'cause mine was patchwork. And sure enough, they said a couple of years after they owned it, well, they had put in a new pool, you know.
Mm. Well, I've never had a desire, Brady, when we bought a house up in Kansas City when he was up at school there, to, you know, save on rent and hope and accumulate some equity is what we were trying to do. And the people that had it, there was a couple, I don't know, they were like from Poland or something, over in Europe. They were teachers at the university or something. Anyway, brand spanking new, nice hot tub in the backyard, and they just left it. And it had a nice cover on it for a while. Brady never used it. It wasn't even hooked up, I don't think. But
Well, it turned out when he had it, somebody could come look at it, it had a, like, exposed
wiring.
wiring or something.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably not good.
Well, I thought a couple of
Electrocute
times.
yourself.
Yeah.
Thought a couple of times about trying to get it, because it was brand new, and I don't know, those things sell $4,000 or $5,000. It was a pretty nice one.
Well, I would go for maybe a hot tub, but then again, hell, as soon as the new wore off of it, I'd be probably done
Yeah.
too.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had to have one or the other, it'd be the hot tub.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, good buddy wouldn't be without one. He's got it. They get out there and weather just like this and sit in it. And just have a toddy out there.
Yeah. Sit there in that warm.
Yeah. Head gets cold, they just dunk it, you know.
Yeah.
Yes. Of course.
I just get in the bathtub and splash real fast.
Yeah.
I got a little jacuzzi in the tub and that's plenty for me.
Yeah, I used to have one of those in our tub at the coast in one of our, I really liked it. But you know what? We've got a bathtub, we call it the virgin tub because nobody's ever been in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
No,
at the house right now.
Yeah, I can't tell you the last time I took a bath. I'm not a bath
Well,
person.
we got a tub that's sitting over the corner and it's just wasted space. But Carolyn, of course, she Carolyn hadn't driven a car in a year.
Mm.
She has not driven. One day, this is kind of funny, I told her, you don't need to be driving, Carolyn. Well, instead of Carolyn arguing with you, she'll just look at you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, ain't gonna be no arguments now. So,
Aren't you lucky?
I said, I need to drive your car, Carolyn. Now, I've driven it before, but I meant, I need to drive it, you know, get the battery
Just-
charged.
yeah, just
So
keep
you
it going.
need to move, you know, and it's been sitting there a month or so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we back out and start down the road. Of course, I know what's happening. I look in the rearview mirror and I can't see.
Cause she has it adjusted.
She's adjusted. I look over here and I can't see. I look over here, I can't see.
Yeah.
Getting everything fixed. Remember the last time I was in this, I thought I'd fix these mirrors where I could see, and it's all been changed. She just looked at me and she never said a word.
That's that same look.
Yeah, just. Well, she got her iPad, you know.
Yeah. Imagine that.
But now, she's never been back in it since,
Yeah.
I know, because I talked to the doctor, and I said, this patch you putting on her, is she okay to drive? And they said, no way,
Oh, really?
no way she'd be driving.
Oh my gosh, if she had
So-
these little fender bender or something,
Oh,
it
yeah.
would just be
So,
terrible.
you know, yeah.
It's not that you
And now
can't
then,
drive.
we got
it's
a
just-
road too,
Yeah.
that's under construction.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got a half a road. And all this is big construction on this side of fixing it, see?
Mhm.
There'll be a year, it's major.
Mm-hmm.
And we're driving down a little trail with cars coming right at you, coming on the other trail.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not driving, you know, 40 miles an hour is all your high speed.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't need to be on that.
Nope.
And then after, I had to take my golf cart up to the club, and I needed her to follow me up there this last summer. So I said, you just drive me up there and I'll get my cart. It's already up there.
Mm-hmm.
Or I was taking it up, maybe that's what. Anyway, I had to ride with her up there,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew then, you know, she didn't need to be driving. She was being awful cautious, but still, you know,
If you had to react suddenly,
yeah.
yeah. And that's gotta be a hard thing to give up.
Oh, yeah, but right now, what we need to do is sell it. But
That's not-
that's the end gate when you do that,
I know.
because she's still in hopes that this is gonna pass.
Mhm.
But see, she kinda, when she's driving, she's just barely seeing over that steering wheel too, you know, because she's been over.
Yeah,
And see, she used to be 5'6",
yeah.
so she was taller than Dad.
I always
She's
remember
tall.
her being nice and tall. and-
Yeah, tall girl. And now she comes to my shoulder. Maybe a little bit more,
I
maybe
know
just
that's
looks at.
discouraging for her, it's
Yeah.
act as if she's always been and, come
Yeah,
and
but I
go,
haven't
she
even
pleases.
mentioned, just leave it alone, let the car sit there and I'll drive it now and then.
Somebody will get a bargain when you have to sell it.
Or one of these days she'll
10 years
say,
old, it's got 51,000 on it.
Yeah. It's
seriously,
already a bargain.
And that's when she's driving it.
Yeah.
wow,
It didn't make it anywhere except dress shops and hair dealies and,
well, one of these days she'll say, Ed, why don't you sell that car, we're not using it, it'll be her idea.
yeah. Yeah, but I can't. That girls now talk about it, you know, about, not that, but she just doesn't need to be driving. But I did talk to the doctors and I said, you need to help me out here a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So
She
they-
needs to hear it from you.
They did, they talked to her and said,
Mhm.
hey, you know, as long as you're on these patches, you do not need to be driving. That's the second time, you know. house and everything, Carolyn, if you had a wreck in that sucker, you know.
Mm-hmm. Cause they'll go, oh, Lexus.
Yeah,
You know, Mom, gave up her car. I didn't have to say anything. But we'd been to the doctor, and the doctor had said, Abby, are you driving still? Yeah, a little bit. And that's after I'd moved her, you know, to the apartments. We'd moved over there. And he goes, well, you might want to think about that a little bit. And she didn't say much about it. And it was about a week later, you know. But she had taken the car, and she had a man friend there, Earl. And he was going to follow her to the Toyota dealership to have her car serviced. And it was just down the road there on Northwest Expressway. But she wound up, they'd gone all the way down Rockwell. I don't know where. And finally, Earl had got her to pull over, and they looked it up, and he said, well, hon, we need to go back the other way. And she just kind of blew it off like, you know, she knew where she was going or whatever. And he said she drove around the parking lot 3 times, you know. He'd keep me kind of informed. And I asked her about it. She goes, I did not do that. But it wasn't long after that. She said, I think I just, why don't you just start driving my car? You take it, because you're coming down here every weekend, so you just take my car. And then she wound up giving it to Brady, you know. But she gave it up on her own, but that was hard for her. Because Mom was like, Carolyn, she'd get up and go to the beauty shop, I'm going here, I'm going there, you know. And my mom never had a car accident. I don't think she ever got a ticket.
well, I'm driving Carolyn everywhere she wants to go now, and I'm doing my best not to say anything, just drive her, you know, because I don't have anything else to do either, so.
Well,
And she's pretty well set her days, you know, she's got, I said, golf is not that important to me anymore, you know, I've played before, you know, and I'll go play if it's convenient, if the weather's good, I'll go, but just don't count me. So she set me aside Tuesdays and Thursdays when my buddies play, you know, so I said, that's more than I wanna play.
mm-hmm. Get you out of the house.
Yeah, so she plans her hair doing,
Around that.
she's got something, you know, she hit her leg right here on something in the garage, just knocked the hide off of it.
Mm-hmm.
Then it gets infected,
Mm.
and then it gets to be a sore that big around.
Wow.
And that's been 6 months ago. And we go to the wound doctor every Wednesday, and they tear it into that thing and work on it, and then a lady comes to the house and rewraps it
So she won't get stabbed.
2 other days. That's up 3 days out of the week. She's got people clean that thing.
Wow.
We finally got it down to this far, but they can't get it to
Heal.
Heal up?
you know. And so they sent her to see if there's anything in her blood the other day. We got that report back. But this, she said, I think you need to, they've got a new deal out where you put it on your leg, and then you zip it up, both legs really. And then, because what she's taking causes her legs to swell, and the cause of the swelling keeps her from healing, for what so now, and I put it on her just before I left, and it was the second time we've done it, but it's a leggings looking thing, and then you got 4 deals that you can set it for small legs,
Does it stimulate the
medium-sized
legs? Or
legs.
the,
No, once you get it on, you zip it up to the size of leg that she is, and hers would be small. And then both legs, and it's hooked up to this machine, it's got a hose on it. Once you get it all hooked up, it's a big old loose thing, and then it fills up with air
Air, yeah.
and compresses against her legs and mashes all this stuff out. You know,
wow. Is
all
it painful?
all the foot, no. It stays on for about an hour, and then it shuts off, and then she can unzip it,
Do
and
whatever.
get out of it.
Yeah. Kind of like a blood pressure cuff.
Yeah,
blows up, so
Same thing, except,
it's long.
yeah, it covers the,
Yeah.
it's just like my pants here, you know,
Mm-hmm.
except it's heavier.
Wow.
But that's so we're hoping that, I did it just before I left. Went in there and took them off.
Was somebody checking on her while you're gone?
Carrie's gonna check them tomorrow.
How far does Sharon
Carrie,
Carrie live?
she's, at 4 miles.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, it's just, I think every time I mean to check it, just how far it really is, I forget time we get there to look and see.